There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
Welcome to an emergency podcast from the Program Guys podcast. I am not Mason Prince. I am Mark Hall, joined with you today by Patrick Hertzberger and Matthew Gann to discuss the all-at-once departures of 2023 signee Derrick LeBlanc on the football side and superstar sophomore pitcher Jordy Ball and Sophia Nugent on the softball side. I have no idea where all of these things came from today. Patrick, first thoughts.
Yeah, well, I woke up today and OU Twitter was like, oh, it's going to be a long day for OU Twitter. And I was like, why? Yeah. And I'm like, what do you guys know? Just say it just say it. And then the Jordy Ball stuff came out, which made sense. And then just an hour ago, Derrick LeBlanc is now in the transfer portal.
Matt, what do you think?
Tough day for Sooner fans, especially a week after the softball championship with arguably the best pitcher, and then getting news just a few hours ago about Derrick LeBlanc, four-star freshman out of Kissimmee, Florida, entering the transfer portal. There's not a whole lot of information out there currently of why he has put his name in the portal. I'm sure more information will come out in the next few days. But something happened, right? I mean, he hadn't even played one snap of OU football. So be interesting to see, and not going to speculate or assume anything because there's no point in doing that. But it'll be really interesting to find out if this is almost a domino effect, maybe for other guys, or will have an impact on other recruits, especially with the July barbecue coming up. So really interesting to see why he put his name in the first place.
Yeah, let's just get started with it. I think it's absolutely a domino effect, but I think it's a continuation of multiple things that have happened. So we have bad interior defensive line play last year, and he's a freshman, so he's not going to be the one who gets those snaps, right? All of a sudden, we bring in 4 interior defensive linemen from the transfer portal in Devon Sears, Jacob Lacey, DeJohn Terry, and Philip Pea. Those last 2 just this past week. Think about our timeline here, right? The first 2 were pre-spring ball ads. The last 2 were post-spring ball ads just now very recently. And we moved, his name is now eluding me, inside.
Jonah
Laulu inside. And I'm sure that Derrick LeBlanc is looking at the reps and thinking, I'm now 4 spots lower than I was. And there's lots of speculation out there that I'm sure Schmitty had something to do with it. Before coming in, LeBlanc was a guy who was a little curvier than, most of your star athletes. So I'm sure that that's a piece of the puzzle. But Matt, I think you hit it on the head. This is a domino effect kind of thing. And I guess I'm not shocked is what I'd say. They took a chance going out there and bringing 2 more guys in last week and essentially telling a guy like Derrick LeBlanc, it's not going to be you next year. Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, all good points. I think the coaching staff is also transparent that this is a place where you have to compete for your spot, and that's only going to continue. And recruits need to see that before committing to the University of Oklahoma, because we're going to create high-end competition at every single position, and you're going to need to be able to handle that, whether you're a freshman or not. And I wish, obviously we don't know exact details as to what happened, but I wish he stuck around, because he's a guy who would have been probably very, very good for us. Maybe not this year, but the next couple of years for sure. And it's tough to see him go, but also I'm sure we're going to reload.
He was such a darling of that recruiting class.
He was.
And I think that that's a piece of what is driving a lot of the reaction. Matt, are you going to miss reading Ricardo LeBlanc's tweets on the regular?
Absolutely.
Remember when we talked about having Mason reach out to him?
Right. Yeah, it's very interesting timing. I almost look at it the other way around, that maybe the coaching staff knew he was on his way out. So that's why we were adding late guys, because it seems very late in the transfer portal for these types of things to happen. So I think it definitely is going both ways. I think they knew that this was probably coming, so they wanted to add more depth and rotation to that defensive line, because that's where BV wants to be, inside the trenches. Again, I think more information will give us clarity of why his departure is all of a sudden. There's got to be a catalyst behind just such an errant move. And obviously, good luck to him in his future. He's got a lot of eligibility and playtime left. So he's going to be a great prospect for somebody entering the transfer portal this so late in the game.
That's a great point. It's not often you can get a guy who was so recently a top 100 recruit, right? And Derrick LeBlanc is that. Obviously, best of luck to him. Like you said, Matt, we love everything that he brought while he was here. A lot of hype, a lot of energy, even if it doesn't work out in the end. Last question for you guys on this one before we hit softball a little deeper. Do you guys think this affects this year's defensive line rotation at all? Because I do not.
No, I would say no. I mean, I think he'd be a good filler here and there. Maybe he would have developed closer to the end of the season, but with the guys we have, I feel confident in them.
Matt? Yeah, I think you brought up a good point of the transfers coming in. I think BV's done a good job of adding in the portal and already got some good guys coming back with Isaiah Coe and moving Jonah inside. So there's going to be a lot of bodies down there. I would like to have Derrick LeBlanc's size. I think he was coming in at 300 pounds, I think. Can't remember. I think
he was listed at 278, but I think when he was on campus, he was probably getting there.
Yeah, we need a big body like that to really fill the gap. So again, best of luck to him, but I think we'll have plenty of depth coming in behind him with a lot of playing time and experience. So,
yep.
Good stuff. Moving to the more unfortunate news of the day, unfortunately. Jordy Ball, guys, she is headed to the transfer portal. She had a very emotional post today, and, thankfully a lot of the response has been exactly what it ought to be. Someone just wants to get back closer to home. It doesn't really matter that we're going to be in a tougher spot from a softball situation if she just needs to be closer to home. That's kind of the game on that. That said, we're an OU sports podcast, so we kind of have to talk about the impact this is going to have. Matt, walk us through, if you can, sort of what the staff looks like on the pitching side of things with now Jordy Ball missing and Alex Storako heading out.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge blow. I don't think anyone can sit here and say that it's not. I mean, just looking back at Jordy Ball's stats, I have it pulled up here. She pitched over 288 innings, 397 strikeouts, and had a record of 44-2 with 4 national championships and also 2-time All-American. So that's something or someone is irreplaceable. I know Patty and the staff will look into transfer portal and look to get certain recruits, but Jordy Ball, from my experience of watching OU softball over the past decade and longer, probably has been the best pitcher I've seen talent-wise and in the circle. I mean, she is so dominant with so many facets of pitches that she can throw, and obviously she showed that during the World Series throughout. So it is a huge blow to the staff. I will say they do have one incoming recruit. Her name is Audrey Lowry. She's a left-handed pitcher, number 6 overall recruit in the 2024 class. Her fastball clocks in at about 68 miles an hour, who helped strike a little over 300 batters last year. Again, that's going to be solid recruitment year in and year out, but to find a Jordy Ball, it's going to be really hard to replace no matter what. So it is probably going to have to be more by pitching by committee next year instead of having maybe a solid ace like Jordy Ball. But wish her the best. I know sounds like she's going to transfer to Nebraska, where she's from, and she'll have an outstanding career there. Wish her all the best. She owes us absolutely nothing after the career that she's left here. I think anyone would take that from what she's left OU in a much, much better spot.
Matt, it reminds me of something you said about the Lady Sooners before this season. In the absence of Jocelyn Allo, we were going to need a lot of people to step up, a lot of players to step up. And I think we did, right? But Jordy Ball is that kind of absence once again. And it's not just that kind of absence with one of your 9 position players, but this is on the pitching mound. I don't think we've seen something like this. Like, this is a larger loss than Caleb Williams, because you can go get Dylan Gabriel, right? This is pretty big. Patrick, can you think of anyone leaving like a college situation like this? Not to go to the professional league, right? Not to go to the pros, but we just lost her.
Right. No, and it's funny you bring up Caleb, because I was thinking about just Twitter's reaction today and how really grateful and great the OU fan base was with this announcement, just wishing her the whole best, like their best, because she went out the right way. I mean,
right.
She was mentally probably 1 foot out the door, and she was the best player in college softball this year. And once you're mentally 1 foot out the door and you're still the best on your team, on the best team ever, that's really saying something about her personality and how great of an athlete she is and person she is in general. Obviously, wish her the best. She was the best. She was a freshman player of the year last year. She was probably the best player in college softball this year. Huge loss, but faith that we will reload in that position again.
Yeah, we just had a conversation, 3 days ago, about how she was the greatest sophomore athlete of any sport of all time.
Yeah.
Right? You just look at the resume and she's got everything already, and it's just tough. We wish her the best, obviously. Later in the day, utility player Sophia Nugent also decided to enter the transfer portal. Nugent appeared in 50 games last season, started 18 of them, and played well, I think. The lineup is very good all throughout. This is one that I feel a little bit more confidently, though, we'll be able to replace. There's going to be someone on staff or someone on the roster, someone we can bring in. We saw it with Alex Duraco's transfer in last season. We saw it with Haley Lee transferring in. We can plug these holes, and this seems like a hole that we can plug. Matt, what do you think? You're making a face at me.
No, I agree. Much easier to replace Nugent versus Jordy Ball, absolutely, especially when you have to replace hitting, just like we did with Jocelyn Allo. We just replaced hitting with just combined hitting committee from 1 through 9. So it's just so depth, and Patty Gasso just has a depth of a bench to choose from. And obviously Sophia wants to take her talents elsewhere and maybe get some more playing time. But that just shows that, hey, even if you're coming in as a recruit, you're not guaranteed any playing time, because Patty's got athletes up and down the lineup that she can use. So this will be a much easier loss to take into consideration, especially with the transfer portal being so open at her disposal. And who doesn't want to come play for the 3-time winning national championships, knowing the success that you can have and for your softball career? So I know Patty's going to be out on the recruiting trail, heavily looking to replace all of the people that we're losing, but we got a lot of people coming back as well. So there might not be too many holes to fill other than the pitching situation.
Patrick, can you describe how good you felt about OU softball 20 hours ago compared to now?
I just as good, man. I have all the faith in Patty Gasso. Yeah, it's a bummer, but I think we'll be just fine. Like, I won't be surprised if we win again next year, and that's a good feeling to have.
Dynasties aren't one player. Dynasties are the entire program, and
hey,
that's what Patty Gasso has built.
No one's bigger than the program.
And speaking of Patty Gasso, Josie announced just the other day that Patty will get a statue next year when the new field gets unveiled. So it sounds like it was in the works. People wanted it, so they couldn't keep it a secret any longer. So it's rightfully earned. She's earned it a long time ago. This is just icing on top of the cake. But that statue reveal will be absolutely epic.
Was it in the works, or is Josie just a Program Guys listener and heard us this past week?
I think Josie and Bill Bahl listen together. I think that's
they
could.
They hang out. Bill probably showed it to him.
Yeah, probably.
All right, boys. Anything else before we get out of here?
Nope.
Awesome.
Like and
That'll
subscribe.
do it. Yeah, I was about to say that'll do it for this episode of the Program Guys podcast. Just a quick EPC. You'll have to like and subscribe to get some more sweet content like this on our YouTube page at Program Guys Contest at Program Guys Podcast. A lot of words coming out of me right now. On Spotify at Program Guys Podcast, Google Pods, Apple Pods, Amazon Pods. Follow us on Twitter at Program Guys. Follow us on Instagram at Program Guys. Every time I've said Program Guys, it's with a Z. Have I covered them all?
You covered them.
Then take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.